Worrying thing is, though, is we're not going to know if it's any good until we listen back.
Yeah.
We can't hear
Let's not
anyone.
get ahead of ourselves.
Chances are this isn't even recording and no one's ever going to hear this, so it doesn't matter. Say what you want, you swear, say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then he's pulled me before breakfast and said, I'm not going to be on the bench.
Red hot, but the first game of the season is approaching. Anticipation is in the air.
I also think now, because it's more of a squad game, it isn't straight away in the players' minds like I'm off here. You know, Hopey was never anything that you'd write, but he was always a 7 out of 10.
And you want whoever it is, like for me, the left winger, I want him to have an absolute shocker.
But I remember just gone to clear it, outside edge, bottom corner. Great finish. I reckon 5 players on the bench and 1 out of the squad that could have easily have played in the 11, but we were just on fire.
All your mates messaging you, good luck and all the best. You'd be like, oh, lad, don't worry, lads. Save your seat next to you.
Yeah.
Worst case, if you need a place on the bench for them.
Yeah.
Not coming up with it.
You're in, yeah. Both here.
It's like the best game of the season, isn't it? The first game. All the optimism. Usually get a really good crowd. Weather's usually good. And you just want to be in that starting 11.
Right, welcome everybody to another edition of In the Stiffs. We have got a special guest to my right. We have the better looking Cowan, the more intelligent Cowan, more well-spoken Cowan,
Better dressed.
better dressed Cowan, a lot more hair Cowan. We have Meadow Cowan. Welcome, Meadow.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Yeah.
Enjoying the summer holidays?
Definitely.
Good.
Much better than.
Meadow, next season, you've been to a few Brackley games. How do you think Brackley are going to get on next season?
I think they will win the final. I think they'll do really, really good.
Oh, that's good then. And
Amazing.
what do you think will happen in the final then if your dad gets promotion?
So if my dad gets a promotion, he's probably going to bust around the house going crazy.
Thank you, Meadow, then. Well, you have an amazing summer, Meadow, and it's lovely to see you.
Okay,
Unfortunately, I've got to get someone with the same surname as you, but who's a
Yeah.
lot bigger and uglier.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Come on, get out.
Right then, welcome back, GC. By the way, I just think to say for our listeners, we've done well there, us three. We've had no help with the technical setup. We've literally come into it cold. And I don't want to say any one of us was better than the other, but I've basically set all this up, 95% of it. Dave did a little bit technical bits at the end, but I've done 95% of the setting up for this podcast.
I'll give you the credit there. You've done well, mate. You have done well.
Worrying thing is, though, is we're not going to know if it's any good until we listen back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
let's
can't hear
not
anyone.
get ahead of ourselves.
Chances are this isn't even recording and no one's ever going to hear this, so it doesn't matter. Say what you want, you swear, say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Dave can be honest about Steve Cotterill,
Yeah.
maybe, can't he?
Just come out and say it, Dave,
Gav
for
can
once.
slate as chairman and all. That's a joke.
Yeah, we're just joking.
Well, we won't edit because we don't know how to.
Yeah,
So
they're incredible.
if it's recording, we'll have to stream. Right, I thought we'd talk a little bit because this time of year, isn't it? It's boiling hot. I've got sweat on my top lip. My curls are sticking to my head. My hair's gone all frizzy. It's red hot, but the first game of the season is approaching. Anticipation is in the air. Fans are excited. Players are excited. Managers are excited. There's nothing better than the football season starting. Dave, how are you feeling about it? Because you are now out of it, so it's a
yeah.
bit different for you.
So, like pre-season as a player, you hate it, but then the last couple of weeks leading into the season, it's like the best game of the season, isn't it? The first game. All the optimism. Usually get a really good crowd. Weather's usually good. And you just want to be in that starting 11.
You've got to be, haven't you? Like, it's obviously not a cup final, but the first game of the season, you are like holding out. You have to be in that team.
Yeah.
It's all you've worked up for the last 4 or 5 weeks to get in that team. And we're having a bit of a laugh off air because I think the three of us have all started those first games of the season. I certainly, I don't want to speak for you lot, I've been sub first game of the season. There's a couple of times where I haven't made the 16 for the first game of the season.
Horrible.
I'll expand on that a little bit later, but that hurts.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, it's the worst.
Because you overthink, overanalyze everything, don't you? In that
Pointless.
pre-season.
I need to leave. I'm going. I'll leave. I'll be gone.
Yeah.
I'll be gone by September.
You totally, if you're not in that starting lineup, you totally believe that that's the end.
Yeah.
But you've got 2 years left on your contract. That's irrelevant. Like, I'm done. You fall out of everyone. You've got the ump.
Yeah.
You become a bit you become narcissistic, don't you? You just think everything about you, and which is understandable, isn't it? Especially like when you're in your 20s and that, and you're a bit younger and not really been around.
A good example from myself on that. When I signed for Wolves, I signed in the January. So I played for 4 or 5 months, had the off-season, come back pre-season, and it was our promotion-winning season we were going into. First game of the season was away at Plymouth. Went down there. I knew I wasn't starting to the team the day before, but I thought I'd be on the bench. And then he's pulled me before breakfast and said, I'm not going to be on the bench. So I was obviously gutted.
Breakfast of the
day of the game, away at Plymouth as well.
Enjoy the journey back. The journey back, though.
So straight away, though, I'm thinking, right, well, I need to play somewhere, so I need to be gone. You know, the window will shut soon. And all these things going through your mind, panicking. Lads do okay. We drew 2-2. But then the next game we played on the Tuesday night following. We played Sheffield Wednesday at home. I was on the bench, came on, scored, ended up playing 44 games that season. We got promoted.
I remember you telling me that, actually. That is literally how it can go, can't it? Like,
mental.
Just because you're not, the desperation is to be in there. Of course, your ego is just like, I've got to be in that 11. I think even more so now, because it is a squad game, I don't think the emphasis is, listen, you all want to be. But I think it's every game. I know the first game of the season is all the optimism and whatnot, but I also think now, because it's more of a squad game, it isn't straight away in the players' minds like, I'm off here. Whereas back probably, 15, 20 years ago, people were going, that's me done. I've got to get out.
Yeah.
I think the team that plays around Christmas time is going to look very different from the team that started that first game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, always happens.
You need to tweet that, Dave, for everybody who doesn't start that first game of the season, because I don't know, maybe like Gav said, the lads think differently. But there'll be a lot of lads who don't get in the team that first game of the season and think, oh, what a nightmare. But that
100%.
story there, that actually the following Saturday, you could be the main man, like you said, 44 games.
Because it affects the whole of your life, doesn't it? When you're a professional footballer, that Saturday, that decision doesn't just end when you wake up on Sunday morning. You wake up Sunday morning and you just have that dull, achy feeling in the bottom of your stomach, and you're just like, oh.
As a footballer, as you should always want your team to do well. But if you've been left out completely and the team win, you feel even worse, don't you?
Yeah.
You feel even worse.
Yeah. What you want is, you might not necessarily, you want your team to put in a terrible performance. Not necessarily lose, but maybe draw, but put in a terrible performance, and you want whoever it is, like for me, the left winger, I want him to have an absolute shocker.
Yeah.
And everybody be going, when Sam back, why aren't you playing? I go, good question. Start throwing the manager under the bus, the coaches. I don't know what they've seen.
Oh, the environment.
Nothing come down that left-hand side today, did it?
The environment becomes mental, doesn't it?
Terrible. It's like that when they sign a player in pre-season in your position and you don't know anything about him and you're just eyeing him up in training, aren't you? Every time he has a good session, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
You're looking at him going, oh, he looks decent. Yeah. Similar story I had to that then. When Shrewsbury got relegated, I had the same thing. I played Burton Albion, I think it was first game of the season. I remember I wasn't even in the squad. I'd been injured a little bit, but they just signed a left winger. Fitzy. Yeah. And Jimmy Quinn loved him. So Fitzy was playing. And I remember, and what they do is, they don't tell the subs, do they? They don't tell the subs the day before, so you need all the subs to be on it. Because if you get told you're not in the squad, you're out on the lash. So
they give the starting 11 though, weren't they?
Yeah, and then I remember it was 1:30 at Burton, and Dave Cooks just pulled me, the assistant manager, and just gone, "You're not on the bench today." And I was fuming, and I was like, "Well, what am I doing here then? Why have you brought me? You could have brought. I was 20, whatever I was, 25 or something." I'm like, What you brought me for then?
More an embarrassment. It sounds bad, isn't it?
It is embarrassing, but because you're then sat in your tracksuit, and all there's 1,000 Shrewsbury fans who've travelled to Burton. I can't remember who else had gone. I don't know whether Holly had come with us or whatever.
Or your mates are messaging you.
Or your mates are messaging you, good luck and all the best. You'd be like, don't worry, lad, save your seat next to you.
Yeah. And I think as well, those, in a good way, those sleepless nights, you build yourself up, don't you? Over that pre-season, you're giving everything just to be in that team and be around it, and the optimism, you want to be part of that, don't you? It's like in the FA Cup, isn't it? If you have an FA Cup run and you're not in it, it's like you don't really feel part of it, do you?
Yeah. It's like even that when Shrewsbury played Chelsea, I wasn't even sub on that, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's it like when we played against Chelsea?" I was like, "Don't know." Even Everton, I played 10 minutes. I was like, "It was all right. Didn't really enjoy it."
Yeah.
You'd see it from your own perspective, but on the flip side, you see about when I wasn't sub against Burton, same as you. I can't remember what the score was, but I started 42, 40 league games that season. Missed the first 3, and that was it. Played every other game apart from that. It's mad, isn't it?
So it does show for any
don't
players.
Panic, young'uns.
Yeah.
If you're not picked first game of the season, do not
The
panic.
ones who are listening, it's really good to take that, isn't it? Your story, obviously, coming on and scoring the winner and you doing that. Brilliant.
My favourite saying, a week's a long time in football.
Yeah.
So true, isn't it? So much changes. You get 2 down.
A bit different as a centre half, though. Slightly different. Like you two in your position, you know you're always going to get a sniff. As a centre half, when you weren't in the team, you're sometimes thinking
It's gonna be a while.
Well, it's very like you might get brought on for 5 minutes just to see out, a barrage of set pieces. Just head on a stick and head it away. I had that a couple of times, but yeah, not a nice place to be as a centre half because as a winger, you're going to come on to try and create something. As an attacking midfielder, just get on the end of something. As a centre half, it's like, not often.
Yeah, and I think as well that's the advantage of being a forward or a winger. You're always going to, more often than not, well, it wasn't a Burton, but more often than not, you're going to be on the bench, aren't you? Like, you're going to come on, and even if you're not starting, I would often get 20 minutes, half an hour or something. Whereas the centre half, you just, you're out, aren't you, most of the time?
Yeah. Well, when I started my first, I'd been at Shrewsbury and saw her at the end of the season, and then in my first full season, it was like the centre halves were like me, Hopi, Kelvin, all of that, and I started the season and obviously snapped my cheekbone, and then Hopi came in with Kelv, and I just. I did get back in and did really well, and then he sort of just obviously preferred them. And in their defence, Hopi was never anything that you'd write, but he was always a 7 out of 10. He was steady away. I know.
That's what you want from defenders, though, isn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, and he was. They were really what he wanted, and it was all season just waiting, and then I got my chance, and then we kept 3 clean sheets in a row against 3 teams in the top 5. Then it was like I'm resting you against the in the St John's Paint Trophy thing, but don't worry, you're playing again on Saturday. And then obviously I didn't play on the Saturday, so that was when when I'd gone. Then that was when I just because it was the second time as well. I'd done well.
Yeah, it is hard.
Well, you just know they don't fancy you, do they?
I felt like my position was one that was more or less always coming on because if we were winning a game, then they'd bring off a striker and I'd come on and play behind the striker or maybe an extra midfielder or do something like that. And if we're losing, they'll bring off a more defensive midfielder, put me on to try and get a goal. So I felt like whichever way the game was going, I had a good chance of coming on. Whereas even on the wing, I suppose if you're winning, they might not bring you on. But
to be honest, sometimes you don't want that.
Yeah, I used to hate that 1-0, mate.
You come on at 1-0 and it's suddenly Sam, you're picking up corners against them. Oh no, if my man scores, or you give the ball away or something. I used to like coming on. If you 1 or 2-0 down, then you just make a difference, don't you? But being 1-0 up,
that conversational touchline when they're saying they're giving you your jobs off set pieces. If they say Sam, you're on the edge of the box. Thank God for that.
Stay up, Sam. Yeah, no problem, Gaffer. No problem at all.
Just stretch them.
I'm trying to rack my brains who I was playing for.
You never got asked to stay up, mate.
No, that never happened. But I remember when you talk about not wanting to come on, I'm trying to think who it was, but we're definitely going for promotion. I'm trying to remember what the ground was. It was somewhere like Carshalton or somewhere like that. And we're going for promotion, and I'd played every single game, but then been out for a couple of weeks for my hamstring injury because obviously the speed and that. We played away. It was a Tuesday night, and literally it was like 1-1. We only needed a point to get promoted. So he's brought me on 5 minutes to go to this barrage of set pieces, and I was like, I've played nearly 50 games this season, no problem. But the ball's been wrapped into the front post. I've just gone a volley, sort of waist height, to volley it away, but a good concrete ankle. Yeah. And I've gone and it's an outside edge, and it's gone inside the near post. We've gone 2-1 down, and it's like 2 minutes to go.
Bring you back off for a striker.
And I was literally panicking. And we went down the other end, and it was a set piece. The corner come in, and I got the first contact, and then there was a massive flipping melee in the box, and we scored. Yes! And when everyone celebrated, I was literally thank fuck for that. Yeah.
Jumping on the ladder.
Oh my God. But I remember just gone to clear it, outside edge, bottom corner. Great finish.
How horrible is that shout though when you say you are picking someone up and your man scores and then there's a bit of a confrontation box. Whose man's that? Whose man's that?
I mean, I used to get on the offensive straight away. I'd be going, who's it? Whose man's that? It was like, whose man's that? And someone would go, is it yours, Sam? Shut up.
Dave Walton was the most paranoid for that. It was like, Wally, you had your man. He'd go, wasn't me, was it? It wasn't me. It'd be like, Wally, you had your man, you're safe, mate. Don't worry. You were marking the 5. It was the 7 that scored. He would literally be
that's all right then. Definitely wasn't my man. If the gaffer asked Gav, can you tell me it wasn't my man,
He was so paranoid. He was like, Wally, don't worry, mate. It was one of the midfielders.
I don't know what happened. I mean, what do you do, Gav, now? Do you have man for man? We used to go man for man, so you'd have their number 5, 6, 8, 11, and you'd get matched up against that. I think the Shrewsbury a little bit at the start. You just get match up, so there was no hiding place, and it wasn't like zones where you go, "Oh, he wasn't in my zone." Like that, if your man scores, like there's no denying it.
When I played, I was in a team that were very successful with a zonal, and it was normally 3 across the width of the 6-yard box, and then another 3 just in front of that. But what we do is, again, just because now you see the games and we've got the platform to watch the last, however many games that have been previously. So we'll look at what they do and then look at obviously team selection. And then when the players come in from the warm-up, they'll know sort of from the report on a Thursday anyway, that will go out to them. But then on the Friday, they'll come in from the warm-up. And although we'd have discussed it, they'll have a definitive of who they're marking. Or so they might be on a post, or they might be near post space or on a second phase. So we'll always have that definitive. Yeah,
don't like that one. I like that near post one. Like, that's a tight position, isn't it? Like the Shearer position. Like he was.
So brave. Yeah. No, we've been really fortunate. We've had lads who are good in there, so we invariably do that.
I'd much prefer to be at the front than the back. I used to struggle with people coming like tiring in the back. Whereas if I could go and attack it in front of me, I'd be okay. Yeah. I prefer the zonal stuff. I did.
Did you pick up then, Dave? You marked going.
Yeah, quite a bit. But I much prefer the zonal. When Nuno came in at Wolves, he was massive on it, but he was like Gav said, 3 across. I think he maybe had 4 across the 6-yard box. Okay. Then he had another 2 then just in front to really go and win it.
Yeah.
Then he'd have 2 players who were only our smaller players, like our wingers, like you might have picked up or something like that in it. And you go against their best headers, and you just be to slow them down. Yeah. So you're not going to see the amount of times you see on commentary they're saying, "Why on earth have they put?" I don't know, Raheem Sterling on their best thing. They obviously haven't done that. They've just done it to slow him down. And they leave their bigger headers just to go and attack the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I prefer that because I always thought if you're man marking and any slight indecision and you get lost or whatever, then it's going to be a goal, isn't it? If it's on his head. Whereas I feel like zonal, you can just go and attack your area.
I think you can look. I think you can look at your clientele as well, like players. You know, like when I played for Nuneaton, it was me, Gaz Dean, and Andy Brown. And Gaz Dean would be the central one on there, and I'd be the far one, and then Andy Brown would be just in front of me. And we were just animals. Like we would eat everything up, so no one would ever even try to hit the far post from a set piece because we were just so strong.
It's a lot easier to win the ball off a defensive corner than an attacking one.
Yeah.
So you think if you're going to be our best header, put you in the middle of the goal and go and head the ball.
Yeah, flipping it.
Win it so many times.
Yeah. Yes. That was a big thing for me. First contacts at set pieces, I was always just actioned with doing that.
Yes, I suppose it's because I'm thinking, like Peter Reid used to just say man for man, just so if you lost your man, like you were getting an absolute rollick and getting your head ripped off, weren't you? Yeah. I suppose then if I go man for man, like I'm just doing anything I can to stop you, to take you out, and then it kills it a bit. Yeah. If I'm their best attack, actually, if I've got 3 other good headers.
Yeah,
like one.
And modern day as well with the amount of cameras and VAR and that sort of stuff. Because if you're man for man, you're gripping them up usually.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you can't do that.
Can't do anything now, can you? Like
No. Like thing is as well. Like we played Northampton in a pre-season game a week ago, and like Gaz Dean, my centre half, and their forward, just as bad as each other. Yeah, full on. Like, and I was like, leave them to it.
It's what he did. That's what he did when we went to watch him. He was full on scrap.
Yeah, but to be fair, the nine's massive. He's a good player, to be fair. And Gaz has dealt with him.
But I used to hate that when I was attacking the corner when I was getting gripped up because you can't get any sort of momentum.
Yeah, you can't.
Like that.
We used to do as well, like when we had big Steve Evans at Wrexham. Like I used to try and tackle the lad he was marking, and he would run. So I'd try and block him, and he would just run. And rarely did he get picked up and stuff like that.
No.
League, whatever it was.
In our league, we'll be fortunate enough, hopefully, to get away with a few, but hopefully the opposition won't.
Yeah, well, I suppose they get away with them as well, don't they? So
of course.
It's wonderful. Speaking of first, it's absolutely red hot in here. I've got right
that door.
Yeah.
But this is what's like first game of the season, isn't it? And no matter how much running you've done, no matter how fit you think you are, it is boiling first game of the season. And you cannot breathe, can you? Dave, you must have been some tough ones. What's like the biggest first game of the season in front of the biggest crowd? Who do you play with Wolves?
I think one of the hardest ones is when I was back at Shrewsbury. Played Portsmouth opening day, and it was red hot that day. I think Wolves played Norwich at home. It wasn't. Yeah, it was sunny, but it wasn't that hot. But it's horrible when you get that dry mouth. It's the worst feeling in the world. 10 minutes in, you can do whatever you want in pre-season. it's not preparing you for that opening 10 minutes of the first game of the season,
isn't it? It's the nerves and the adrenaline and everything, and you kind of catch your breath and it's muggy, and you're like, oh my God, I wish I'd done more running. I wish I'd stopped in more in pre-season.
Especially if you were being a winger as well. If you're on the other side of the dugouts as well, you're like out there lost in you with no drinks or nothing.
There's no drinks anyway, was there?
I always used to find when I played wide, if I was on the other side of the dugouts, they used to just feel like acres of space. Yeah. Whereas always a bit more compact near the dugout, wasn't it?
Yeah. I used to hate that. Like, I used to hate playing the manager's side. Like, I used to hate.
I prefer it. I would.
I didn't. Especially like playing for Shrewsbury and even for Sunderland. Play like the first game of the season, we played Sunderland Man City. It was the first game at the stadium I liked. I remember come on the other side. I loved that because you just stand there and run. Whereas on the other side, you're just like, tuck in, get back, cover around me. Oh, shut up, gaffer. Like, you can't, I don't know, I didn't like it.
Get on with it.
Yeah. What were you, see, because I can imagine, Gav, when you're on the sideline, when you're like, got your left full back or whatever's on there, left wing back, like you're on his case the whole time. On the far side, it's harder to get the message across.
Because when I was a player, you're aware of that. I think like you try not to commentate. So I think like a lot of it is in between, like when the ball goes out of play, which is obviously quite often, depending on the level. You've got sort of a split second there to sort of do a bit of direction, but in the actual game, I'll often say to Jay don't commentate, no commentating, because I just think you cloud their judgment. You sign players for a reason. You've got to trust them to do what they want to do. It's very rare. Like if the ball's getting set back and we feel like you might just say warn them. If someone's creeping up on them and they can't see it, you might warn them. But I try not to commentate too much for that reason, really.
You don't do I used to hear this all the time. Like when you put a cross out with play, Sam, miss the first man, or keep it in the box. I'll be like, if I'm having a shot, Sam, yes, gaffer, hit the target. Yeah, no shit. Sorry, I stuck that in the stand on purpose. That's where I went wrong.
Definitely not from us, but you'll definitely be surprised about the amount of managers that do shout it, and I can't help myself because I do go, oh, good advice.
Yeah, well done, Pep. Yeah. Brilliant, good shout, Pep.
There are some that will do that, but I try not to commentate too much.
So, how much emphasis do you put on pre-season? Because I mean, pre-season. I remember Shrewsbury. I think when we went for the conference, I'm sure we won something like 7 games in pre-season. Something daft. We beat everyone. And then the first game of the season, we drew 1-1 with Margate. You know what I mean? It's just like, do you like, obviously because you've won a couple, have lost, haven't you, with the higher league team, Gav? So are you is this performances?
I think I do like to bring a bit of clarity to everything that we do. So like with pre-season, I think that we sort of said, look, there's 3 things. First and foremost, certainly in the early stages of pre-season, you want to remain healthy. That's the first thing.
No injuries.
So you want everyone to remain healthy, be fit. Don't be a hero. There's no medals, etc., etc. And also their conditioning. So like they trust us in terms of their minutes. Yeah. So there's a lot of emphasis on 245s. So in pre-season training, we did an 11v11. Then they did 3 10 minutes. Then the next one they did 2 15 minutes. That's 30s instead of 2 30s. Then they go into a game, their first game, and it's 2 45s. So they have a 45, they have a 45. Then you go 60 and they have 30. Then they have 30 and they have 60. And then you build it up applicably, yeah.
Is that regardless of their age, though? Because some people might, there's a 33-year-old might need something different to a 22-year-old or even...
Yeah, there's a rule of thumb, but then obviously, like you rightly say, there's an individual that you might go, but that'll affect the other groups. So you have to be mindful of that.
That more training. So if you have an older player, you might manage to load in training, but you still wanting to get the minutes on the bench.
Yeah, and obviously we're part-time, so we have to be a little bit careful with that. Yeah, but minutes as well, in terms of games as well. So we'll have the first emphasis on being healthy. Then it'll be, like, can we start implementing some of the things we are working on in training? Because that's what pre-season's for. So we have a game strategy. We have a footballing ID. Can you implement what it is that we've been working on, even if it fails? So this is the hard thing. Look, do what we're asking you to do, even if it fails, because... if it fails, it's on me. Yeah. If you try and go on your own agenda and it's not working, it's more on you. So you end up sitting next to me on August the 10th.
Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah. So then the third thing is result. So you go, look, we want to get into good habits. We want to try and build a momentum. So it's always, but then that starts to, we've now, you've got your penultimate games. So you've got maybe, we'll have Northampton and then we'll have Chesham. And then it's like, right, okay, it's, yes, you've got to be healthy, but now you have to be implementing what we're talking about. and we have to really start focusing on results. So because we want to build that momentum, so we just try and bring that clarity to it, and then you almost like a pie chart, right? Okay, the big thing is stay healthy. Then the others start to creep in and start to take up a little bit more of that pie chart, if you like, and that sort of thing.
Will the lads then, like before you pick, like the week before the season starts? Normally, I would imagine most teams playing what their strongest team is and trying to get them 90 minutes.
Not necessarily anymore, because it's such a squad game, and it's dependent now. So many things are taken into consideration, like the opposition. Are we at home or away? What sort of style do they play? Are we going to need someone to be in possession, or are we going to need legs? Are we going to? So actually, no. What we'll do is, in terms of their minutes, we'll have everybody geared up. So if they're ready, so 16, let's say, those 16 will be ready for August the 10th to play 90 minutes. So there's no point going, we're going to gear for these 11, because one of them might, have sickness and diarrhea in a week, and you go, oh no. So we've geared everybody up. There's not one player that won't be ready to play.
So will the lads know what the team's going to be now? They'll have an idea.
They'll have an idea, yeah. So you'll be able to pick probably 80% of the team, but even now, there's still.
Do you know your team for the first game of the season?
Obviously, I know all 16 of my players can play in the 11. So it will depend on opposition, where we are, who's played enough football, who's done what. All of them, all 16 will have a massive part to play in the whole season. When you look at us from last year, through the whole season, which is quite rare, we had 2 drop off from the squad and 1 came in. So it's very rare you have a group stick together like that all the way through the season. So we showed a lot of faith in them, and they obviously had a lot of trust in us. So,
when will you name the team then for that first game?
I'll probably speak to the starting 11 individually Friday.
So then,
and then name it on Saturday.
So you go and chat to the lads individually. So obviously lads will talk. So lads will like. Yeah. Yes, Gaffer, do you want to speak to me? No,
mate,
you're all right, mate. You're all right, son. No, I'm Gaffer.
Do you need me for anything?
I'm free now, Gaffer. Do you want to sit? No, you're all right.
It used to be when you thought you walk past the Gaffer's door, knowing that he's spoken to 11 players, and you're like, "All right, Gaffer, do you need anything you need?"
I'm just shooting off now, Gaffer. Is there anything you want to say before I get in the car and go home and don't see you till tomorrow? No, you're fine.
No, you're all right. Get yourself home.
All right then, yeah.
What do you mean, like get home and recovery and that? Well, whatever you want to do, really.
We used to have like when we think some of the funny ones, like Dave Cook and people like that. I'd say like, I'm not going to name the team. Then you walk past and go, Sam, he's not naming the team, but just bring a warm coat for tomorrow. Be like, don't say stuff like that.
Brilliant, I love it.
Even if you were playing. Yeah. But so you will name the team. So you'll know. So they'll tell the lads they're playing, but then you'll just name the subs when.
Yeah, they get there. Yeah, because again, it's especially part time. You haven't got them from Thursday to Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variables there in between.
A lot can happen. Lot can happen on that Friday.
Yeah, I'm not playing. Oh, you fancy going for a meal? Yeah, bottle of wine.
Will you pull the lads that aren't in the match day squad before you announce?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
So they'll know. So they won't be.
No. Literally and honestly, and it sounds disingenuous when you say honestly, doesn't it? But I made the decision when I was a player that I was always just going to be honest, and it's the most uncomfortable but courageous thing you can do is just be honest with players. And you know what? Last season it worked well for me because genuinely I had, I reckon, 5 players on the bench and 1 out of the squad that could have easily have played in the 11, but we were just on fire. We caught fire and we were flying, and I just had to say to them, look, I'm sorry, this is just the way it is. And like you have to, I have great relationships with them. So if we want to talk about personal lives and all of that, then emotions can come into it. But outside of that, unfortunately, you have to put the club first.
Okay, and Dave's just getting a little bit technical here, isn't he? What are you doing, Dave? You're changing the thing.
Yeah. Cowan's got my best angle.
I'm glad I opened that door. That sun's right on my ginger skin. Fizzing. Do we want a drink? Because obviously we've got no staff here today, have we?
It's ridiculous. Sit down and do everything ourselves, isn't it?
This weather.
Let's get the butler out the house.
Yeah.
Let's get the butler.
Get
the butler. Yeah. The butler bring some drinks.
Yeah, Paul Butler. Get him out here. Does anyone want a drink?
Yes, please.
I'll have to do it. Yeah.
I'll have a water.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, as a player, Dave.
Well, please, mate.
As a player, what are you thinking then at this time when you've got like 2 weeks to go? So you got one pre-season game.
Yeah, I feel like if you're nailed on start, you know you are. Do you know what I mean? Just the way the manager's with you, the way pre-season's gone, you know if you're going to start. And at that point there, I'm just solely thinking about not getting injured.
Yeah, not getting injured.
Not
Keeping yourself fit, doing a bit of running, making sure I don't get injured, but being at the absolute peak of fitness.
Just sharpening up, really.
Yeah,
so with my own individual stuff, just all my finishing and stuff like that, just sharpening up. But if you're not sure if you're in that starting 11, then you're going for it.
You've got to try and you've got to give the manager a problem.
Yeah, and that's happened definitely once in my career. I remember we got promoted from League One with Wolves into the Championship, and I knew the start of the season they'd made signings, they'd brought in some good players in my position and stuff. And for the first 3 quarters of pre-season, you just know when you're not involved in it, you're not in the shape of the 11, which looks very much like the starting lineup. And then you get into the final friendlies, and it's starting to really take shape. Yeah. I was always in against the weaker friendly, if that makes sense, getting more minutes, and there's more kids in the team that I'm playing, all those things.
Telltale signs and everything.
But then I caught fire myself. I had a good pre-season, but in the games, I think I scored in 2 or 3 consecutive games, and then the second to last pre-season game, I came on at half time, which I think I was the only player to come on. Came on, did really well. I was away at Chesterfield, and then I got put into the starting 11 on the last pre-season game. Again, did really well. But I still wasn't 100% sure. We had a lad called Michael Jacobs, who had just come from... Where did he come from? He's a lad from Northampton. He was like such a technically gifted player, a number 10 winger. And I was sort of fighting with him for that number 10 spot. And he'd had a really good League One the year before. And he was like... I think he came in the January. So we all thought he was going to play. But then I said I did really well. Then I managed to start the first game of the season. And it got to about 60 minutes in. It was Norwich at home. It's 0-0. First game back in the Championship. And I can see, I think it's Jakesy. Somebody's getting ready to come on. I thought, that's me. I'm definitely off. I hadn't played that.
Jakesy get one.
Yeah. I hadn't played that well. Yeah. But then Rajiv Van Lapara, our right winger, put in an unbelievable ball. And I've just darted across my man, scored to go 1-0 up. And then kind of from there on, it was just...
Sit down, Jacobs. Sit down, Jacobs. Put your tracksuit top back on. You're not coming on.
Yeah, sorry, just doing my waitering services here. I've got fruit shoot high.
I'll have a full fat Schweppes lemonade, please. It's the holidays, isn't it?
Yeah. Schweppes.
Summer holidays.
Schweppes, yeah.
Just for the listeners as well, if anybody's been following me on Instagram, I've been doing a lot of building at the moment. So like, if anybody needs any building work done, like, I don't know what we call myself, Aiston's builder. I've been doing building at school.
Alongside the life coaching.
Yeah, it's like
we've got spring sparkling water.
Good little plug there. We get a sponsorship deal from Schweppes. Get a sponsorship deal from Schweppes.
Oh, it's nice and cold, that is.
What? Nothing happened there tonight. I wasn't on camera there. Schweppes full fat lemonade. You can't beat that, can you?
So why are you, Sam? Have you had pre-seasons when you know you're just not going to be involved, or you might be involved?
Yeah, that's it. No, because when I was at Sunderland, it was always like I had quite good pre-seasons, so I was always in and around it. So even when we went in the Prem, we got promoted to the Prem, and I remember I'd started off like flying in pre-season. I remember Peter Reid pulling me and going, like, Sam, you've given me a problem. Yeah. You've really given me a problem here for this season. And I was sub start, and I think I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what happened. I remember coming on at Leicester and that, but I was like in and around it all the time. So it was good. I've had some really good. The only time I haven't was the Shrewsbury one. I didn't start. I think what else. I can't. I've always been sort of. Always had pretty good pre-seasons for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because the balls haven't been out much, and I've always done well without the ball being out.
I've always enjoyed pre-season though. I've always obviously not the Sun so much, but always enjoyed pre-season. That season I said that I snapped my cheekbone for Shrewsbury, was gutted because we had 9 pre-season games and I played every minute of every one. And I think Gary Peters at the time felt as though I needed minutes to get myself going, and I remember beating Stoke at home 3-1 and being really on top of the world, and then obviously snap your cheekbone, everything changes, doesn't it? Yeah. But that pre-season, I loved it.
Pre-season's so important for your fitness for the season, isn't it? To get that 6-week block of training in, to build that resilience to go through the season. You can tell when players haven't had that base and they start.
I think because I'd come from the level below as well. I think Gary Peters felt as though I needed like as much in the bank as I could. And
you probably did as bit as well, especially I think it's sometimes better when you're going like playing the league up because you're thinking, am I going to be good enough? So at least I'm going to get myself, I might not be as good as them, but I'm going to make sure I'm super fit.
Oh, I'm sure I was the best I've been, yeah. And like you say, you're doing work off season. I didn't really have an off season because when I came in, I was really just supposed to stand on the sidelines and sort of just acclimatise to the environment, ready for the following season. But obviously they were facing relegation, so I played the last 5 games and managed to stay up. You remember that, obviously. You were there as well when we stayed up, didn't we?
Was I there?
Yeah.
What season was that?
My first season when I joined, right at the back end of the season.
I mean, you did have a season together, though, did we?
No, it was like the back end of that season. Yeah. It was the back end of that season. And then, obviously, coming to the next one, you play 9 games, brilliant. Played at home against Rochdale, then Boston away and got my cheekbone snapped. And then it was just, you're never coming back because the lads in there did really well. Do you know what I mean? Like, credit to them. You got to keep your place, haven't you?
I had a similar story to that when I fractured my metatarsal at the back end of a relegation season from the Championship to League One. Was in all summer rehabbing. Got myself fit for the first week of pre-season. Done all of pre-season. First game away at Preston. Landed funny on the same metatarsal and was out for 2 months with it. And it's you gutted out and you after all that pre-season.
Again, though, like you are an attacking midfielder. When you come back, you're going to get minutes, aren't you? I was watching them thinking, flipping it. They're like just a machine at the moment. I'm not getting back in here.
That's odd. I think, though, it's just how you put things in perspective, but I think we'll always remember that everybody always remembers that sort of first game of the season. I remember at Wrexham, we won the first game. We got relegated and we won the conference and we won the first game 5-0 at home. And it was like, well, this conference is a joke. We'll have won this by December.
Yeah.
Then we went on the Tuesday night and lost 2-1 to York, and getting booed off and that. I was like, oh dear. But it's like that's just part of it, isn't it? And I think it's good messages to say like that first game never defines your season, ever. But you feel like it does at the time.
And for the fans as well watching, like if there's players who aren't in the starting lineup or not in the squad, don't write them off. It's just timing, isn't it, of everything.
Well, this is the thing with football, isn't it? It's instantaneous. Everything has to be instantaneous. But like you say, like it's a long season. It's a long season. And actually, do you know what? You're better off starting out okay, because if you can then hit the ground running and gather momentum towards the back end of the season, that's the dream.
I'll tell you what, you did at Brackley. Whereas Preston, obviously last season, me and Dave went to watch them, went top of the league at Stoke, and they were top after 8 points, and it was international break, and he's going fantastic. But then when they then lose a few, which was always going to happen because they'd overachieved at the start, rubbish, they've gone, they've blown up, they're terrible and that. And you go, well, no, they're just overachieving a little bit at the start, and probably over the season they'll end up finishing pretty much where
they need to be. Yeah,
but you can't get too carried away when they start well. You don't get so disappointed when. But we're fans, aren't we? So if Shrewsbury win their first game of the season, we win the league.
You're going to win the Champions League.
What was your first game of the season, Brackley?
Scunthorpe at home.
Well, if you win that, 100%, you're going to win the league.
Yeah, that's what they'll say. Yeah,
you got a tough start.
Then if you lose 2-0, it's like,
mate, our start's brilliant. I loved it. We've got what have we got? We've got Scunthorpe at home, Chester away, Kidderminster away.
Big clubs, aren't you?
Yeah, and then Curzon at home, who got to the playoffs last year as well. Yeah, we're not messing about.
And you've only got a squad of 16.
Yeah, 17 to keeper.
2 of your good mates are Sam Aiston and Dave Edwards, and you're happy to go to the squad of 7?
Yeah. Well, I did want 19, but I don't know, lads. I just think that you wouldn't have got through pre-season.
So, if you have a couple of injuries, then who fills those spots then? In all seriousness,
well, I think first and foremost, like we've got.
Particular.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think we're a part-time football club, so we want to be really competitive in what now is you've got 7 or 8 full-time teams in there, and like. I think because of the success that Brackley have had in terms of getting to the playoff final and getting to the playoffs the last few years, and certainly obviously in my year, people assume that we're big payers, and I think we do all right, but you know the success has really drawn that conclusion. Yeah. But you're up against, like, again, we still part-time, we pay 40 weeks, whereas you've got, you know, you're going to have your Chesters and your Scunthorpes and your Darlingtons and your Kidderminsters and all of the above.
Gav's dog's just come in, yeah.
Out you go, mate.
They got the whole Cowan family trying to get.
I know, yeah, all trying to get in.
Mrs. Cowan will be in there.
Son's out, yeah.
So did you like make a conscious decision then? Right, I'm going to have to max out my budget. I'm going to have a smaller squad with better quality if I can.
Yeah, I think we've had to go with quality. We've been fortunate that we've taken some players that maybe have not had a lot of minutes, but are very, very good players for the level, so they understand that. of where it is for them. So yeah, I think we've been quite shrewd again. We've improved. We've lost a couple of good players, for various reasons, because you shed a little bit of course. But I think we've had 5 or 6 go out and 4 have come in. So yeah, we're a little bit light, but I think ultimately we've invested in real good medical staff. So as is Aaron Lamley, who's obviously involved at Shrewsbury with Skitty as well. He's excellent.
We've got so that's massive.
It's like another signing, really.
To keep your players fit is everything.
Well, towards the back, and it's all credit to Az, really. And Skitty's always available for advice and stuff. He's brilliant like that.
If you've got a squad of 17, you can't carry five injuries.
No, that can't happen. Struggle. Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, because of now we've invested, like, since my time, a big part of what I've tried to do is create a new culture, a new environment, try and raise the levels of professionalism. So we do have things like GPS now. So we have managed all of their loads. So again, as it stands now, we go into our penultimate pre-season game. Probably would have played by this time this goes out. Everyone's fit, touch wood. So all you're trying to do is you're making sure you're not getting the hamstring and coughing. Like you can't help if someone breaks a leg, someone does a cruciate. No, impact injuries, nothing you can do. Yeah,
just trying to minimise the pulls.
Yeah, soft tissue and all that. I think we do it really well. So credit to them, really. Not a lot I do.
For any Shrewsbury fans or potential Brackley fans, me and Sam are going to go. I did check. I don't think Town are playing on that night. We're going to go to the is it Kidderminster on the Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
So not too far from Shrewsbury.
You're obviously going in the away end and that as well.
And Brackley end.
Yeah.
I'm going to Brackley kit.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring me shin pads and
your pads and that just in case. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Sam will be there. So make sure you can come along and support Gav and Brackley.
Yeah.
Well, me and Gav went to Telford Kidderminster, and Kidderminster looked really good, didn't they? And
they look really
good. Relegated, Kiddy.
Yeah.
They've just signed David Davis as well, an old teammate of mine at Wolves, and
David Davis.
Yeah. Good player.
Craig David Davis. Yeah. No, good player. Played really well the other night.
He was Shrewsbury fans, and he was at Shrewsbury for a couple of seasons.
He played for Kidderminster against Telford the other night. Me and Sam went, and he was a captain.
His middle name David as well.
He was a captain.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, he was excellent.
Yeah, he was. He was
very
good.
Some tackles.
Yeah, he was strong. He was good. They had a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good then. Well, we're coming to that. So any Shrewsbury fans want to come down to that?
It'd be brilliant. It was like some of our games this year are incredible. Like it's never been so tough, that league now. Yeah. Would have been nice to have got promoted in the end, but literally it's going to be. And I like, to be honest, good, because I prefer it like that. I want all the challenges. I want it to be at its best, because
get promoted in a part-time team like a league, it's an absolute unbelievable achievement. Huge.
Yeah, take that. No, we're just listen. We want to be competitive. So just to answer to your question earlier is go with a slightly smaller squad, maintain the quality of the group. Great group, literally incredible group of lads. Love the way we want to play. They enjoy it. We treat them like men. So it's none of the what coming in. What are we doing and all that. We're just honest with them, open with them.
Exactly.
Just don't let them. Obviously, just say to them, look, don't get complacent. Don't mistake kindness for weakness, because there's another side. And they don't. Just great lads.
Worst case, if you need a place on the bench filling, coming up with
you're in, both here. Just have to get we'll get the forms on.
I'll speak. He looked at me like an absolute afterthought there. He went, yeah, Dave. Then he looked at me and he saw me looking at him, and he looked at me and gone, both of you? There was no conviction in your voice there. I don't think you're giving me a call. If I find out Dave's on the bench, if I look on Twitter and Bradley's Twitter and I see Dave Edwards on the bench and you just haven't called me, I'll be fuming.
Do you know what? I'm going to do it for banter and just get the secretary just to put Dave's name on.
Imagine the scenes if you need a goal late on in the game.
Oh, and you come
I'll just chuck him on. Just chuck him on.
Dave could come on for 10 minutes, couldn't you?
I think he could still do it.
5 minutes. 10. I've gone. Yeah, he could slot in there, just do a couple of passes and that, couldn't you?
What a story that
I don't want to come on at 1-0 up though.
What a story that Dave retires. His mate's the manager at Brackley, signs him for no apparent reason, brings him on with 5 minutes to go. He comes on against Kidderminster away.
Kidderminster,
yeah.
Absolute scenes. I run on the pitch naked.
Yeah, makes them. Yeah. Imagine that story in the Shropshire Star.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I might have to rethink some of that.
Head teacher.
Right then, lads. Well, cheers everybody. Hope you're enjoying your Schweppes full fat lemonade.
Oh, loving it.
Rock and roll in the summer.
Schweppes lemonade, established in 1783.
Thanks very much for listening, and hopefully, if this hasn't recorded,
I've had a great time.
If this hasn't recorded, thanks for listening. But if it hasn't recorded, we'll sack Evolve and Wits because we don't need them.
Yeah.
In fairness, I don't really need you two because I've done it all myself.
I've got the drinks, to be fair.
I haven't got time with me building work. I haven't got time to do
podcasting
by myself.
Yeah.
Right, thanks very much for listening, everybody, and
Cheers,
we'll have
guys.
another podcast out next week. Sorry.
See you later, everyone. Make sure you listen to our podcast.
Another podcast next week.